Please check if it works now. Could be that it works now. On a different name, but it could work now. Okay. Sorry for that. Welcome, everybody. Sorry for waiting so long. It's 10 minutes later. I had some issues on YouTube. It should work right now. So sorry for the waiting of all of that. Um, for everybody who is the first time, just very short, my name is Tomek. I'm living in Germany, in Berlin. And as you can see, I'm focusing on the history of Jehovah's Witnesses. I like history, I love history. I'm also a certified tour guide for the concentration camp of Sachsenhausen. So if you want to come also to Berlin and to see the history of Jehovah's Witnesses, but also the country, you're always welcome. I'll give you more information after this tour, or I don't want to call this today tour because tour sounds a little bit like holidays, and today's topic is a little bit different. Let's, is it okay if we call it a documentary? Okay, let's call this a documentary. Um, so more information also about me, about my website and everything I can show you. I will show you later, but I want to start now because we start a little bit later than expected. Why I'm doing that tour today, that documentary. So I always, uh, I love history. I'm interested in history, and especially in the history of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I visited different concentration camps, and some you see on YouTube or on my Zoom tours about the concentration camp in Sachsenhausen, the concentration camp in Dachau, the female concentration camp in Moringen, and in the future we will go to Lichtenburg and Ravensbrück and other places, searching for the history of Jehovah's Witnesses and how they dealt with this problem. But for today, I decided to do something different. Tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp. It's already 80 years ago that Auschwitz was liberated. So this year, 2025, it's a year of remembering now Auschwitz, then the Auschwitz, different concentration camps like Sachsenhausen, April, then the death marches. So that next year there will be every week almost something to remember that finally 8 years later everything was over. We will unfortunately also have to remember, like in August, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? This is also 80 years. So that's why I decided I want with you today talk about Auschwitz and talk especially about Jehovah's Witnesses. If you watch my videos on YouTube, maybe you saw that there are already 5 episodes about Jehovah's Witnesses in Auschwitz. And I was thinking first like to make a summary of that, and then I decided, nope, I will create something new. For the ones who knows me, who watch my documentaries since 4 years here on Zoom, know that I love also to talk, and I talk very fast and a lot, and sometimes you don't have the time to make notes because I'm giving you so much information. I want to do this today a little bit different. I want to do this today in a way that I will give you time to think. I will give you time to see. So I will try not to rush. I will try not to talk too much. That's why this tour will be maybe a little bit longer than 1 hour, but definitely not longer than 1.5. Don't worry about that. But I think it's a very important topic. So yeah, we will remember. We will remember today Jehovah's Witnesses from Auschwitz. Last year, I visited that former concentration camp. So please remember, we are not visiting a concentration camp. We are visiting a museum. We are visiting a memorial place. The concentration camp don't exist anymore, right? A concentration camp. If this would be still a concentration camp, there will be still prisoners and there will be still soldiers and guards. It's a memorial place. It's a museum. And this is what we will visit. So my dad and I, we've been there last year. I made a recording and I just put everything together. I just put all the recording of that camp together. And while you will watch, while we will walk through this camp, um, you will hear some stories. But I just reminded myself, because I did this tour already in Polish 3 hours ago, I realized that I have to explain first something else that was, even for the Polish friends, not really, they were not sure. So I'm sure that's maybe um, it's important for you to get this information. I will show you now a map because sometimes you will see in this video that some buildings are made out of bricks, stones, right? And some buildings are made out of wood, like barracks. Why? Because if we talk about Auschwitz, we talk about three different camps. No, that's not right. About one camp and three different places. That's better. So you can see we have here Auschwitz 1 and Auschwitz 2. And Auschwitz 2, it's a big place. Auschwitz 1, this is the place when you will see houses, real houses made of bricks. This was built by the Polish army years before for the army. When the Nazis invaded Poland, they found that place and then they took it and used it and made it as a concentration camp. So it's not built by the Nazis, it's not built by the prisoners. It already existed and the Nazis took it over. This I forget now the English word for where the army is staying, right? So this is on the left side, the Auschwitz one. This is where the houses, buildings made of bricks. Then we have Auschwitz 2. And it's not so close how this map looks like. It's just for you to have it's around 5 to 10 minutes with a car away. So you can't just 2 minutes walk and you're there. No, it's 10 minutes with a car away. And Auschwitz 2, this was made later. This was made by the Nazis. This is the death camp. This is where the barracks were made of wood. And you will see some places that there are some barracks of wood and there's emptiness because a lot of things are destroyed. Here on the right side, this is the train station Auschwitz, and you can see here the railroad. And this here, this is the ramp. This is where all the prisoners arrived, and this is where they decided, the Nazis decided left or right, death or life, right? And this is the with the gas chambers. The gas chambers have been also. This is where when you heard some survivors of Auschwitz talking about Mexico, when they talk about Mexico, they talk about this place here. So this is B1, B for Birkenau, Auschwitz, Birkenau. So it's like next village. B1, B2, B3. That was Mexico. So just for you to, it's not, I will not focus on these details. I will not focus on that. But 3 hours ago, I realized, yeah, I have to explain that. We will visit two different places. Auschwitz 1, bricks, already existing. Auschwitz 2, barracks of wood, death camp. Also, Auschwitz 1 is a death camp, definitely, right? But Auschwitz 2 is this massive thing that happened there. So that video starts in Auschwitz 2, right? In this barracks, in this wooden barracks. And this is, um, yeah, you will see the difference. Let's talk about let's talk about the prisoners wearing the purple triangles. They were a very tiny group in the camp community. We talk here about, as we know today, about less than 400 prisoners. Especially in Auschwitz, it's a very small number because in Auschwitz died more than 1 million people, just died. More than 1.5 million people were there. So sometimes there were just two witnesses, sometimes a little bit more. So this less than 400 were in the whole time of existing of this camp. That's why the number, or the Jehovah's Witnesses, when they are more remembered in Sachsenhausen, they are 1,000. Dachau 500, right? And there were more smaller camps. So there, the witnesses are more remembered. Here, of course, Jewish people are remembered. And this is absolutely right because this is where the Jewish community really, really suffered. But nonetheless, many prisoners remembered these Jehovah's Witnesses. Their appearance differed from that of the others. They tried to keep their camp uniforms clean and keep a cheerful expression on the face. They tried to walk with a smile. They lovingly cared for their fellow believers and supported those who lacked strength. They were consistent in their passive resistance against the SS men. How? They would accept every kind of work provided it did of work provided it did not go against the principles of their faith. Those who found themselves in a more privileged situation, for example, without supervision at work, often passed on information about what was going on in the camp. And this is what we will talk about today: the resistance of Jehovah's Witnesses in the camp. But were they the only people who were fighting the Nazis? No, no, definitely not. There were in each community Jewish, Sinti and Roma, um, homosexual, all the foreigners, so-called shy workers, all of them, all of them were somehow in each group was somebody who was fighting the Nazis. Very famous guy is a man called Pilecki, a member of the Polish army, an officer who freely get captured to get into Auschwitz and to organize the armed resistance of the Polish army inside this camp. So no, Jehovah's Witnesses were definitely not the only one. And Jehovah's Witnesses never saw themselves as heroes. They never said, yeah, we are so fantastic, we did this, we did that. Nope. The ones who survived Auschwitz and other concentration camps, they always gave the praise to their God, Jehovah. They always gave the praise to their leader, Jesus Christ. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses or Bible students, Bibelforscher, as they were called back in those days, that's why they never supported Hitler, because they already had a leader. That was Jesus Christ, or is Jesus Christ. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses could never do and support another human leader. So, no, they don't consider themselves as heroes. And yes, there were other people who were also heroes and saved other people alive. But interesting thing is, and this is why we talk about them, there's the fact, definitely worth emphasizing, that the stance of this very small group positively influenced other prisoners. And their daily determined resistance strengthened others in the conviction that people can stay faithful to the principles they adhere to in all conditions. That's the thing. Jehovah's Witnesses, why doing what they did, proved to everybody what is right and what is wrong. They were staying loyal for the principles, for the believings, for the friends, risking own lives and saving other lives. And that's why I want to talk about them. That's why I decided today, one day before the 80th anniversary of the liberation, to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses. But this doesn't mean that they are better, smarter, more hero. No. And it doesn't mean that we are not sorry for anybody who has been in this really horrible, horrible place. No, definitely not. And in Germany today, the whole day there were TV shows and documentaries about Auschwitz. It's a very, very important day in Germany. Tomorrow is the day that also the president and everybody will remember. This is the 27th of January is like the liberation of Auschwitz is to remember the whole Nazi regime that should never happen again. And that's tomorrow. So it's a very, very important day. So Jehovah's Witnesses were brought to Auschwitz in the first transport of the Polish people from different places in Germany. Cities like Katowice, it's a big city very close where I was born. And also the numbers that they were given, it shows that they were really one of the very first months of existence of the camp. Some really, yeah, small numbers, because the numbers, they started with one, right? And the woman also started with one. That's why each number is twice. There was a male prisoner in the camp with the number 100, and there was a female prisoner with a number 100. When I did the Polish tour, I was mentioning some names like the family Pilch, family Pollock, family Szalbot, family Vantulok. And yeah, just 3 hours ago, there was a Jehovah's Witness watching my tour, and he raised his hand and he said, "Yeps, my dad and my granddad, I'm a Pollock. You talked about my dad right now." And I did. So he says, "Yes, I know that his granddad died in this." So in Poland, these names like Pilch, it's a very, very, very known name because 14 male members and 7 female members of that family has been in this concentration camp in Auschwitz. So it is known. It is a very known name. As I said, I would give you some stories. Some stories. So one story I want to give you about Andrzej Szalbot. His number is 108703. Then when they were taken to other concentration camps or from other concentration, they get in each camp a different number. So that sometimes makes it complicated for the research. So Andrzej Szalbot, this was a number in the concentration camp in Auschwitz, and he was arrested because he refused to join the army. He refused to join the Wehrmacht. After interrogation and torture in the Chechen Gestapo office, Chechen is a small town, he was imprisoned in the Auschwitz concentration camp as a political prisoner on March 17, 1943. I will talk about this political thing in a minute. But I want to tell you, right, or read what he said. He recollects the peculiar manner in which his investigation was conducted. I was taken to the office of a Gestapo officer who specialized in Jehovah's Witnesses. On the wardrobe, there was a death hat. The Gestapo officer said to me, "Will you give up? If not, this is what your hat will look like." I said, "My conscience does not allow me to kill." He replied, "We will cure your conscience." These were Jehovah's Witnesses. Their conscience did not allow to kill other people, and that's why they suffered. That's why they have been in this camp. But for him, for Andrzej Szalbot, to have a good conscience, clear conscience, was more important, and he could not imagine to kill somebody. And this is what we will hear these stories today. Sometimes, as I said, whole families were imprisoned. The Peels, 14 male members, 7 female members. There's another family, Cięciała, from Cieszyn. So you see, and Cieszyn, Katowice, and everything, this is very close to Auschwitz. This is where I raised up when I was a boy, 6 years old. I also lived just 1 hour away from Auschwitz, the Polish city that belongs there. It's called Oświęcim. Um, so every time when I visit my family, I've been in this memorial place in this museum, I don't know, 10, 15 times already. Because it's, yeah, every time I go there, I say, hey, it's important to go there. My father's grand uncle, he worked for the Polish train company. And he told my dad once, I never met him, he told my dad once that he remembered the trains, right? When he have to change something, work something, that he knew which train is going now to Auschwitz and he knew what people were there. So the whole area was influenced. My grandma told me that she also remembered trucks on the road, on the main road where she looks out of the window. I remember as a kid looking, right, that these on these roads also trucks were going and they knew it's going to Auschwitz, right? So I remember when my grandma was taking this. So a lot of the names or people that we talk about today, they lived very close to that place. This is where it started in the beginning. So, for example, Helena Cięciała, she was arrested in April 43, and after interrogation in the Gestapo office, the same like Schalbot, she was taken to Auschwitz. She got the number 45856. Paweł Cięciała, Helena's father, was brought to Auschwitz 2 months later, and after another period of 2 months, the same happened to Eva Cięciała, Helena's mother, who died in the camp. The reason for arrest and deportation of each of these cases was the same: membership in the religious sect of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is what was the writing about them. Other names like Jan Odremski, Stanisław Zając, all very, very known names in Poland. Um, the first female Jehovah's Witnesses were brought to Auschwitz in the very first woman's transport, which arrived in 26 March 1942 from the camp Ravensbrück, and there were 999 female prisoners. Interesting thing is 1,000 prisoners, women, left Ravensbrück, but one of them escaped. So during the transport. Um, and now we have 999. And among these 999, and let me stop this video here for a second. Among these 999 was also a woman, and I have pictures around 100, I don't want to lie, 130, 140 pictures of Jehovah's Witnesses who have been in this concentration camp. And I want to show you one of them. I think you should see now her. Yes. Um, Her name is Sophie Stippel. Sophie Stippel's story became now more and more known, especially because I think it was last year, um, a movie got the Academy Award. And the name of the movie is The Zone of Interest. Jonathan Glazer, it's a German English production. Jonathan Glazer is the director. Zone of Interest. Do I recommend that movie? Yes, but I will not watch it again. Once was enough for me. But yes, I recommend. Another but. I watched this with my wife in the cinema last year, and also friends joined us, a couple. He's German, she's American. We watched this in English, and she left during the movie, the cinema, and waited outside. So just to want to let you know, right? I recommend it, but it's not an easy movie. What is it about? The Zone of Interest, it's about Rudolf Höss. We will talk about him a little bit more today. Rudolf Höss was first trained in Dachau, then in Sachsenhausen, and later he runs Auschwitz. He is the one who had the idea of the gas chambers, and he's a murderer. Yeah, difficult to explain. Is another murderer, person who murdered more people, or his ideas. And um, and the movie is about the story of the family, because the family of Rudolf Höss, they lived just by the camp. So they did not live inside the camp, of course, right? They lived by the camp. The wall of their garden was the wall of the camp. So the movie don't shows anything what happened in the camp. Don't worry, you will not see dead people, nothing, zero. So why it was still so disturbing for our friend? You hear everything. So the movie works with sound, and the sound is very disturbing. It's really hard, but it's well made. It's very good made and good researched. Even there's maybe one thing that I would say, are you sure that this really happened? But it's a very, very, very tiny thing. And in that movie, there is also a nanny. So Rudolf Höss got 3 or 4 kids. I don't want to lie. Four. Yeah, I think it was four. And the nanny was this woman, Sophie Stippel. Rudolf Höss and Sophie Stippel, they um, knew each other from this. They raised in the same city, in the same street. So when he was the commander of the camp, Auschwitz, and then she was arrested, he took her as a nanny for the kids so she could be there. But does it mean that she had a better life? No, definitely not. She didn't get the food from the family. She also got the food from the camp, right? So it's not like that she was cooking. She was cooking the food that she could not eat. She got the food from the camp. But why I'm showing you Sophie Stippel, there's one interesting fact that the second son of Rudolf Höss became years later a Jehovah's Witness. Is it because of her? I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell. But this is, yeah, a fact that we have. So this is one picture, one name that I would like to talk to you, and especially of these women. Most of the women came from Ravensbrück, of course, because Ravensbrück was the biggest and at that time the only one female concentration camp. All of them, so they came more between June and November 1942. They all got the EBV. Let me maybe, I think this is also good to show you that. Another picture, because it's Sophie Stippel's picture, you couldn't see that. Here you go. Nope, sorry. So, for example, Regina Mantai. Yeah, so, okay, that's not a good, yeah, that's a good, yeah. So this is Piotr Czoczorny. See how young he is. You can see here on the left side, let's make it maybe like this. EBV, it looks like a J. It is a J, but it's for I, for better understanding. It's International Bible Student Association, Internationale Bibelforschervereinigung. The Nazis did not wanted to see Jehovah's Witnesses, as a religion. It's a spy organization. That's where their crazy thinking. Paul Mosharek you have again. Then you have the number, and then KL, Konzentrationslager, concentration camp, Auschwitz. So they got this EBV and then the number. Some of them, I think it was here, you see it's not EBV, it's written Pole, Polish person. We will talk about them. Okay. So all of them get these numbers, get this signature. But interesting is that most of the women, or a lot of these women, Jehovah's Witnesses who have been imprisoned and taken to Auschwitz, they already have been for years in Moringen, Lichtenburg, and Ravensbrück. So a lot of these women, it was not their first camp, not their first prison. They already suffered for years in other camps. How, how was the life for these women? Well, yeah, it was the same difficult as for the man. Sometimes the women get, it looks like easier job because they could work in the houses of the SS, like Sophie Stippel and Rudolf Höss, but it doesn't mean it was easier. But there's a very, very nice story about Mitzi. Mitzi was the block senior. Block senior is responsible for a place. Mostly very brutal people, mostly people who did make the life easier for the prisoners. They made it even more difficult. But if you watch my history tour about Dachau, then you know that when the Jehovah's Witness was also a capo or block senior, then they tried to make it easier for everybody and did not torture them. And that's the story of Mitzi. So the block senior in the Stabsgebäude, it's a specific building, was Mitzi, a female Bible student prisoner. One former prisoner, Hermann Langbein, remembers her humane attitude towards the other female prisoners. And I want to read from Herbert Langbein book People in Auschwitz, page 267. When Julia Skodova had to spend her first night in that block, the block senior, her name was Mitzi, came into their room and wished them Gute Nacht, Kinder, in her Viennese dialect. She was from Vienna, Austria, so I would immediately realize that dialect. It's a very nice one. And Gute Nacht, Kinder means good night, children. Let me read again. Good night, children. Remember that. When Yulia Skodova had to spend her first night in that block, the block senior, her name was Mitzi, came into their room and wished them Gute Nacht, Kinder, in Hawaiianese dialect. It was, and this is Hermann saying, it was, it, it was as if someone has stroked me, right? This is stroke, like very kind. I hope I get the right word. When you touch a child, this is how friendly words were received in that environment. And this is what I like that one story because what is resistance? How resistance should look like? So there is, if you would talk to many people, they would say resistance means you see something that happens, you take a gun and kill that person. But as we read, the conscience of a Jehovah's Witness don't allow us to kill anybody. About Dhaka, I was telling you that one story where an American soldier gave a Jehovah's Witness a gun and said, "Hey, now you can do what you want to do." He said, "I did not kill any American. I will not kill any German, right? I don't kill anybody." What is resistance? Resistance happens in the small things. Here, the resistance was to give these people just a little bit hope. Good night, children. To give them the feeling, hey, try to sleep. Call your children. Give you this feeling of empathy, human thinking, humankind, right? To be nice, not like the Nazis wants us to be. That's resistance. Resistance means that you are not prisoner number 178547. No, you are Andrzej. You are Jan. You are Pavel. Using the name. This is the resistance. But unfortunately, we have also to say that almost half of all these Jehovah's Witnesses who have been imprisoned in this concentration camp died. And that's a huge number. I didn't found in any other camp the same amount of number. Maybe I'm wrong, but in Sachsenhausen, definitely not so much died. Definitely not in Dachau. Sachsenhausen were 1,000, as I said, prisoners. In Dachau, 500. We don't have this. So almost half, a little bit less, as we know today, of these Jehovah's Witnesses died. And I have also to tell you that, so I'm doing these tours like for 15 years, right? And I'm reading about the Second World War Nazi time history of Jehovah's Witnesses since, I don't know, since I'm 15 years old. And I don't know, today, especially when I was rereading what I want to tell you, and then I was looking at these pictures again and looking at these 130, 140 faces, and to know that half of them died. Yeah, was quite emotional. It was quite emotional. That's why, yeah, you know my other stories. I always try to make them encouraging and not too sad. Um, but as you see, if we talk about Auschwitz, it's a little bit more difficult. It's not so easy, like, you know, amazing stories that in Sachsenhausen. We have here some amazing stories. You will hear also some of them, but unfortunately, we have to say that their life here was very, very difficult. There's one reason, for example, we talked about Rudolf Höss, right? We talked about Rudolf Höss, and He was trained. He was a guy. I'm still reading his autobiography, and I'm reading this now for I don't know how many months because I always read a little bit and then okay, I have to stop because this guy, he has no conscience. This is so crazy. This guy has his he he just wants to do his job well, right? His boss is Adolf Hitler. His boss wants to get rid of these people. How can I do it cheap and fast? This is crazy. This is no, he's a sociopath. Um, and Rudolf Höss trained in Dachau. He wanted to make a career, trained in Sachsenhausen, taking part of killing August Dickmann, right? August Dickmann, the first conscientious objector who got executed publicly. 15th of September last year was the 85th anniversary. It was of this. You see the whole event on my YouTube channel of that, where these German historians are talking about that. And now he is in Auschwitz. And unfortunately, he learned from the mistakes. Remember Sachsenhausen? What was, if you watch my Sachsenhausen Zoom tour or YouTube, try to remember what was the most amazing story in Sachsenhausen about Jehovah's Witnesses. What was it for you? I gave you a second and I will answer for you. Oh, yeah, yes, Kim, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Um, what was amazing was the names on each of the buildings, and Jehovah's Witnesses were in the building of love. But what really impressed me is the brothers had meetings, field service, they were organized.
yes,
Um, I can't get that out of my mind.
yes, exactly. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Exactly. I think this is the most amazing story. Jehovah's Witnesses could be in one barrack. Love was written in big letters, and they had these meetings. This did not happen in Auschwitz because Rudolf Höss, after experiencing this in Sachsenhausen, knew that he will not do this mistake again, right? He will not allow Jehovah's Witnesses to be together in this place. So he tried, and unfortunately, he made it that maximum two or three Jehovah's Witnesses were in the same barrack, in the same building. If they went on the commandos, the working commandos were right, a few men or women, and walking somewhere to work. Jehovah's Witnesses could not be two of them, only one. He did everything to stop them, to have contact to other Jehovah's Witnesses. There was also a special order to focus on the witnesses. To I will read you something. I will read you something that he wrote that in his autobiography. In the camp, the witnesses were industrious and reliable workers who could well have been sent out to work without guards. So he realized that. But it was indeed their wish to suffer imprisonment for Jehovah's sake. That's stupid. No Jehovah's Witnesses has a wish to suffer. We don't wish to suffer. No. But this is what he was saying. They stubbornly refused to do work that had any connection whatsoever with the war. The female witnesses in Ravensbrück, for example, refused to roll bandages for military field dressings. Some of these fanatical women refused to line up for roll call and would only parade as a disorderly crowd. So, yeah, the story about Ravensbrück is right, but he's creating a picture of Jehovah's Witnesses who love to suffer. And that's not true. And that's not true. So he he granted their wishes according to him. He made the life for Jehovah's Witnesses more and more difficult. And that's why they could not be all together. They could not be, it was so difficult for them. But Hermann Langbein, the one who was talking about Mitzi, right? He said in the same book, page 266, this: a certain group won the respect of others thanks to their solidarity, high moral, and cleanliness. They were Bible students. In Auschwitz, there were not too many of them, just over 20 Bible students. They did not play any important role. So at that time, when he was talking about, was just 20. And these 20 could not even be together in the same building, in the same barrack, which made it very difficult to find each other. There was a time there were only two witnesses. So imagine you are there and now found the other one. So what helped them? The purple triangles. Please, I want to remember, if you haven't seen my other tours, about the triangles. The Nazis introduced these triangles for Jewish people, Jehovah's Witnesses, criminals, Sinti and Roma, homosexuals, politicals, and shy workers to destroy their humanity. You are not a human anymore. You are a category. And then you got the number. And in Auschwitz, you got the number tattooed, right? It was printed, inked in your skin. So it was not happening in every camp. No, it was happening in Auschwitz. And then you don't have a name, your number, and your category. And it destroyed the human minds, the prisoners' minds. So resistance is to use the names, right? But interesting is that for Jehovah's Witnesses, these purple triangles was a good thing. It helped them to find each other, to search for each other. And as we know today, on the left side, that's block 14. On the right side, that's block 15. And I think I showed it here a little bit more. Here we go. Yes. Yeah, that's block 15. As we know today, Jehovah's Witnesses made it to meet every evening in front of block number 15. So I can't tell you if this on that side, on the other side, on the back, I don't know. But somewhere here, Jehovah's Witnesses met every evening before the roll call, where they supported one another by kind words and raised each other's spirits. And they also organized meetings. For who? For prisoners who showed interest in their teachings and shared what they received in their parcels from their families. They helped in obtain medication and, as far as they could, in moving those who were completely exhausted to another, better commando. In accordance with the principles of their faith, they never took part in any activities organized by the camp resistance movement. They also maintained a non-political stance, even in a place like that. So yes, even that did not stop. Let's go back to the place where we watched before. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, we've been here. Even a place like that, even if they were separated, they could make it to have these meetings. So again, meetings for Jehovah's Witnesses was so important that it saved their lives. But, and I want to tell you the story of Jan Otremski, and again, this name in Poland, if you talk to somebody in Poland older than 50, 60, 70 years old, they will remember Jan Odremski. And Jan had a problem. Jan was arrested and registered as a political prisoner. So as you saw in the picture before, he didn't have the purple triangle. It was not written the EBV. It was written Pole and got the red triangle, a political. And he is now arrested, and for months he's searching for Jehovah's Witnesses. Let me read you this. It took Jan Otremski, a Pole who was registered in the camp as a political prisoner, a few months to find his fellow believers until the day when he, completely exhausted because of their extremely hard work, noticed a group of prisoners with purple triangles not far from the roll call square. At first, they treated him with reserve. He looked bad. He was starving. His clothes were dirty. Remember, Jehovah's Witnesses tried to keep their clothes clean. And he was wearing a red triangle. So how did these witnesses trusted him? The report is saying, however, the knowledge of the Bible and of Jehovah's Witnesses publications he showed convinced them that he too was a Jehovah's Witness. This is so interesting. What saved Jan Odremski's life? The knowledge of the Bible and the publications of Jehovah's Witnesses. And he survived. The place we are right now, this is Birkenau, right? This is Auschwitz II. As you can see, so this is an original um, train wagon where people were transported. And this is where they, yeah. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about dark tourism. What is dark tourism? More and more people want to visit dark places, like like former concentration camps. And I invite you to come and to go with me. But what is the reason when I go with you to that place? It's not to stand in front of a wagon, to stand in front of the gas chambers and make a picture of you in the gas chamber, right? I always wondering, okay, what will you do with that picture? To make a picture of the gas chamber, to make a picture of the wagon, yes. But why should you or me be in front of that picture? I hope you get what I think. I want to take you here. I take you here not to enjoy, right? It's to remember. I take you here to learn. I take you here to hear the stories, but definitely not to have fun, right? It's education, but today, unfortunately, it's not entertainment. Tomorrow, when we will have about some fun history, that's entertainment history. Today, it's educational history, and especially because of the 80th anniversary. So basically, I remember that when I was with my dad there, and I saw this man making of himself a picture of his wife, and for me, it's difficult. For me, I have to say it's difficult to yeah to agree with that. Just want to because I saw this now. I want to tell you that. Let's talk a little bit about women. So women, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, the female Jehovah's Witnesses, um, they could they had the freedom, right, to go somewhere and and yeah, to try to they trusted the Nazis trusted them. And like Sophie Stippel, another, or Elsa Abt. Elsa Abt, I'm thinking, yeah, let me show you the picture of Elsa Abt. Give me a second. Elsa is 130. Here we go. That's Elsa Abt. Here the same thing. If you talk with Jehovah's Witnesses about Elsa, a very, very known Jehovah's witness, he and her husband survived. I will read you just a short summary about her and her husband. Harald, I met Harald and Elsa when I was a kid. Um, Let me read this. Elsa Abt, number 24402, Pole from Dansk. She became a Jehovah's Witness in the pre-war period. In the winter of 1939, out of fear of being arrested because of belonging to the Jehovah's Witnesses, she and her husband had to escape to Łódź. So it's from the north part of of Poland to the middle part of Poland, because Gdańsk was um, taken by the Germans in the first day of the war, and then they went to Łódź. With the help of fellow believers, they managed to find accommodation and help there. However, in July 1940, the Gestapo arrested Harald Abt. He was first imprisoned in Sachsenhausen and later in Buchenwald. Else was left alone with their daughter Jutta, then a few months old. In November, so that's just 4 months later, sorry, 16 months. 16 months later, in November of the following year, the Gestapo appeared at the Abt's house again and this time arrested Elsa. So the daughter was something about 2 years old. After several days in prison on 12th November 1942, she was brought to Auschwitz with a group of Jehovah's Witnesses arrested in Łódź. Here, she worked as domestic help in the house of the SS man called Burger and later in the house of another SS man Mückel. She was also in a camp infirmary where she was operated on. From the camp, she sent letters to her daughter. Her neighbors, who were also fellow believers and took care of her little girl, answered the letters in Juta's name. In January 1945, Else was evacuated to Gross-Rosen, another camp, and then the other camps in German territories. She was liberated there in April 1945. Harald Abt went through the agonies of the concentration camps and returned to Lodz with his wife. When they finally reached their flat's door, they saw an inscription which read, "This is where Jutta Abt lives. Her parents are in a concentration camp." The girl was almost 6 years old at that time. And there are so many stories like this of Elsabt and her husband Harald. Go back to the. Oh, sorry, I was too fast. Yeah. Oh yes, I want to read you also this one story about female Jehovah's Witnesses. So this is an employee who was talking about Bible students prisoners, female Bible students prisoners, and she's saying this. For other housework such as washing, sewing, and cooking, German women prisoners, Bible students, came from the camp, and for gardening work, male prisoners. I sometimes sent letters to the families for those male and female prisoners. One day I heard Frank's wife, Willy Frank was Obersturmführer. He was the SS dental station supervisor. So he's talking about his wife. One day I heard Frank's wife persuading them to change their religion. She promised them release from the camp, but each of them answered that she was ready to die for her faith. So there are some, how to say, rumors that she, the wife of this Obersturmbannführer Willy Frank, became also a Jehovah's Witness. I heard this from many witnesses, but nobody has a proof for that. But why not? The son of Rudolf Höss, right, became became a Jehovah's Witness. And these witnesses also tried to do as much as possible to help other people. So, for example, there was also inside that camp, there was also a shop where stuff could be bought by other people outside the camp, or also only as S-men and their families. And in that shop were working female Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, let me read this. Sometimes the female Jehovah's Witness prisoners employed in the shop sold food products to people unauthorized to buy anything there. Remember, only as S-men and the families could buy there. A few times they sold bread and meat products to Władysław Fulton, who was employed as a civilian worker in the camp carpenter's workshop. The food rations for the civilians were very poor, and therefore every opportunity to obtain additional supplies was a great opportunity. Władysław Fulton says that two female prisoners worked in the shop. They were German middle-aged women and they were wearing purple triangles. They worked without being overseen. One day, he came to that house and asked them to sell him meat, although he knew one could get it only with food ration cards, to which only SS-men and their families were entitled. But the female prisoners who worked there packed his shopping and took the requirement amount of money without asking any questions. He was never thrown out of the shop. He says that the female prisoners he met there were kind-hearted women. In German, he says, woman with a golden heart. It is not known whether they were somehow punished for that illegal sale. Probably not, as on several more occasions Władysław Fulton bought from that shop, most often meat and bread. This is resistance. Small things, small possibilities, small ways to fight against the Nazis without gun, without killing, without hate. Jehovah's Witnesses in this horrible place, in this death camp, it's a death camp. More than 1 million people. Just think about, I don't know, the place you live, the city, Berlin, it's the biggest city in Germany. It's 1/3 of Berlin died here, you could say. This is crazy. It is a place of hate, of anger, of brutality. And Jehovah's Witnesses, even in that place, showed love, helped each other, even if there were just two of them. They helped not only themselves. Yes, of course, they focus of help themselves to help them to survive, to get a better job or whatever, less hard work, but also other people. And we know that they preached to the people in this camp. They had meetings where people who were interested in their truth were invited. That's why I think it was important today, and I'm very, very thankful that more than 300, or it was sometimes 350 almost, connections we have here on Zoom. I don't know how many on YouTube and how many will watch it. Even it was a difficult topic, and even if mostly you would expect from me this entertainment education that you decided to join today to this 80th anniversary of the liberation of the camp. I'm very thankful that you have been here with me, that you listened, that this difficult topic, that you watched some faces of these people, and I will show you in a second also more faces. Maybe I should do it right now. Yes, um, of these man and woman who survived or died, because I think it's very, very important. Like for Delina. Lina, she was just 20 days in this camp. She wrote, we have her goodbye letter that she wrote. There's a nice sentence. She says, send greetings to mother. And in Poland, I don't know if in the States too, in Germany, I think it's not. I'm not sure. But in Poland, um, Jehovah's Witnesses back in the days, or she was not Poland, she was Danish. So maybe it still exists, I know. There was a time that Jehovah's Witnesses were talking about father and mother. So father was their God, Jehovah. Mother is the organization. So when she said, send greetings to mother, she was sending greetings to all the friends that she know, to the congregation and whoever. Unfortunately, Deliana died after 20 days being in this camp. Daniel Shapiro, Elsa Streich, Emilia Navrat, Erich Fretzky, Erna Fischer, Felix Orembeck, Gustav Baumert, Henning Opera. Don't have the name for this Jehovah's Witness, but I want to show you the from the Pirch family, with the 14th male and 7 female. No, that's not her. This is Jan Otremski. You see, he got a red triangle. You got Paul. This is the one whose knowledge of the Bible saved his life. This is one Jan Pilch. There were two Jan Pilchs. So here we have one of them. Klara Zonklowski. I'm talking about her in the concentration camp of Moringen. Louis Pfeiffer, Ludwig Kutschera, Maria Parkitna, and Maria Pilch. Here she is. That's Maria Pilch, another Pilch family member. Pavel Pilch. And Valentin Eder. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for joining this, remembering this, even though it was a difficult, difficult topic. I think it's important to remember these people, these Jehovah's Witnesses, male and female, young and old, because if everybody at that time would act like a Jehovah's Witness, there would be no Second World War, there would be no Auschwitz, there would be no Nazis, right? And that's why we have to remember them. I will stop now the live streaming on YouTube. So everybody who watch this on YouTube and want to take part now in the question answer section. So we will do now answers. So please come to Zoom and join, or if not, also thank you very much for watching on YouTube. See you on Zoom or maybe another tour. We see if you want tomorrow. We will talk about another history topic, or maybe again about Auschwitz. I'm not sure, right? So normally tomorrow is a history fun day, but it's the 27th of January, so we will see. We'll talk tomorrow. So I hope to see you tomorrow, same Zoom. And I also would like to show you, yes, my website just in case if you want to write me, if you have some stories to tell. When I did this right now with the Polish Jehovah's Witnesses was very interesting. A lot of them wrote me, hey, my dad, my grandfather, I have documents and so on. So they will contact me. Maybe I will get some more information. So if you want to get in contact with me, feel free to go on my website, historyofjw.tours. I have a WhatsApp group where you can also join this WhatsApp group and get informed about future tours just with this QR code with your WhatsApp, or you go on my website. There's my phone number, my WhatsApp number, my email address. You can write me a message. And if you search for YouTube, please, very, very important, search for at History of JW. Don't write just History of JW. That's wrong. You have to put this at, this email sign, because if you just put History of JW, then you get also some other weird stuff. So search for at, or just go on my website and there's a link to my YouTube. So feel free also to get in contact, write me. I answer all WhatsApp messages, all emails, but sometimes it takes a week or two because it's so many. So if something is very, very important, call me. Okay? But please remember the time change. It's now 20 minutes after midnight, so please don't call me when it's night. So thank you again.